Jillian Crane is a warrior. I am going to start this discussion like that because she's an incredible woman, an incredible asset, not only to New York City, but to our entire country. And you're going to find out exactly why. Today, Jillian's leadership with the First Responders Children's Foundation is able to provide transformational programs and services to over 150,000 children of first responders each year. You heard me, warriors out there, 150,000 children. That is unbelievable. Let's hear about Jillian. She joined the First Responders Children's Foundation board of directors in 2013, and she became board president in 2019. Jillian was instrumental in leading the foundation in a more mission focused direction. In 2022, Jillian was appointed president and CEO, and she strategically, and this is why we love her so much, she crafted her strategies and her mission around the foundation's commitment to law enforcement, take actions, women's first responders and diversity. So the mission of the First Responders Children's Foundation, it's a nonprofit formed after that horrific day in our history, 9/11. We have to bring it up. I was here. Jillian was here, is to provide financial support to children who have lost a parent in the line of duty, as well as families enduring significant financial hardships due to tragedies, circumstances. And also, Jillian, I saw over 800 children that day on 9/11 lost a first respond. I mean, it's unbelievable. The website, but I don't want to hog the conversation. There's so much to get to here. The website, everybody, first, rcf.org. Also, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. I am going to have all of the information, everybody, in the body of this video. So you can take your time, you can look, you can find out how to donate. So please follow and support. I am urging all of you, if there's one thing you do, remember, I remind you to do one thing each day. This is the thing to do. How can you not provide support to children and families? How can you not? This is the most important thing, our future adults, our future leaders, and their families. So with that, Jillian, welcome to the Warriors.
Thank you, Lynn. I'm so honored to be here today and honored to talk to you, who set an example of what it is to lead and be a warrior and care most about the children in this country. And obviously we're talking about children and first responders, but you are an inspiration in how you focus and commit to the children in this country. And I'm really moved by what you do.
Well, thank you. But I say right back at you. Now, before we jump in, Jillian, let's hear a little bit something about you. Whatever you want to share. It could be about your history, growing up, now. Let's hear, who's Jillian Crane? Whatever. A loaded question, I know, but let's
go for it. All right. Well, that was an unexpected question. I love it. You just well, I'm from the Midwest. I don't know if people know that. I'm from Minneapolis, Minnesota. It's my background. I'll share this. I don't usually talk about this, but my background is in the entertainment business.
Yes.
And I don't really mention much about that. But I was an actor and a writer for years. My background has been in that field. And when I joined the board, that's what I was doing. But in 2019, and then COVID hit, I really started to jump in and see that we could really focus our mission on children and families, on women as first responders, and do more around COVID. And as we're going to talk about mental health and all the things and line of duty death support and in ways that I thought I could make a difference. So I thought I was just doing this I'll just do this during COVID. And then I'll get back to my other, creative life. And that just hasn't happened. This is a worthy organization to be part of. And I'm just honored that they basically kicked me off the board and said, "What? No, we're firing you from the board. Why don't you become the president and CEO?" And I just jumped in and said yes. And I'm really glad I did. So that's
what makes you a warrior, and I think that's why you're well suited, your entertainment background, to deal with people, to, be friendly, to be open, to go up and start talking. I know, like in the Midwest more, and I go to California even frequently. And as I travel, people are friendlier than New York.
Yes.
I don't want to give New York a bad rap. I love my city. I'm here to defend it, but I'm just saying they don't naturally open up like they do when I travel to other places. But I think your background, Jillian, I started in the music business right out of college. So that was like my whole thing to get into this. But you know what happened to you? You became a warrior. You fell down, whatever we call this. The passion took over. And Jillian, I like to call it like almost a nun. You got a calling. You got it.
Yes.
You got a calling. But I don't know. I still see you can still blend it with entertainment in the future. I'm feeling all kinds of things as I'm looking at you. It's all
Okay,
good.
well, maybe you can help me with that. No, I think it is. It's all one thing. It's creative, right? We're using our creative, our ideas, our whole being, our empathy, right?
Yes.
Our artists,
Feelings
our artist
and
mind, our feelings to do the. I was just in Nashville last week at the
ooh,
Serve Pro convention is there, and Serve Pro is a corporate partner. They're amazing, and you're right. In Nashville, I met all these people. Like you just don't. People don't come up to you necessarily in New York City and other big cities where they do in other places. You just make friends wherever you go. Sometimes leaving big cities is important. And, there are volunteer firefighters and EMTs and paramedics all over the country. And they have a lot of
exactly.
financial hardship. So you meet them everywhere you go.
Unbelievable. I was just talking about Nashville yesterday. We'll leave that for a separate show. Now, first responders. So you already explained, you just sort of thought, okay, well, like I'll get involved with this. But tell us really, what was that journey that there's so many different things. Was it like 9/11 in your mind prompted you back then in 2013? You just thought, okay, I'll do something good. Like, why did you pick this exact thing?
I was here on 9/11. I was evacuated from the area. I met this incredible woman named Gail Furman, and she was a huge philanthropist and a community activist and a person who cared about so many things. And because I met her, it really changed my life in terms of how can I live my life, but also give back. So I was living in LA at the time. I went back to LA and then I moved back to New York. And then this organization came into my life. And I was so inspired by the stories I heard from first responders themselves, because they are running into danger when we're all running away from
Yeah.
danger. And they're not asking anybody's political affiliation or anything about them. They're just trying to protect people. And I thought, who are these people? And I was moved by what they do. What do they need? What do their families need? What are we doing for them? How are we supporting them? And I just thought they're the ones kind of keeping us safe in every community in the country. So I was just inspired by meeting so many of them and thinking, okay, what can I do? So I did join the board, and that was my first experience with the community.
And they were so good, they fired you eventually and said, Jillian's in charge of everything, president, CEO. I'm
Well,
glad you pointed.
there are a
Yeah,
lot of men on the board at the time, and I thought, well, we need to expand, bring in some women. We need to, make us a true national board. People from all over the country, and then now we're over half women. So I'm very
so
pleased.
you've done a tremendous job because and I know if women all ran the world, well, I'll just leave it at that.
I
I'll
don't.
let everybody finish that sentence. Okay. But I'm glad you pointed out about, nobody will ever say to a first responder, what's your political affiliation when they're running into,
Right.
something. This is, for everybody. This is not political in any way, shape, or form. And nobody cares about any of that. I want to ask you before we get into some of your programs, which are so tremendous. What do you see as differences? We'll start with like around 2013 or the last 10 years in our country in this type of work and what you're doing from then to now. What has changed?
I feel like there's more uncertainty in the job. I think there's more danger in the job. When you look around at the fires and the wildfires and the hurricanes and the storms and the floods and I don't want to get into what the causes of all of those necessarily, but we are seeing a lot more danger that first responders are running into. And I think people less and less are choosing that job. So, I worry that we're not going to have the first responders when we need them. So I think that's one of the biggest things. Also see more women and more diversity in the fields. I think people are starting to look at like 911 dispatchers, for example, and looking at them as first responders too. They're first on scene. They're just not seen, but they're usually on the night. The call is to them. And I think that's pretty. I think the job is more dangerous than ever.
Yeah, you just reminded me of something. It's here at the Warriors, we're expanding into lots of affiliations with art and music and tech and engineering because we know all of that. Not everybody, not the kids are all made for college. I think we've all learned that. Like some kids just are not interested. and giving them these other outlets. This could be a terrific career for, somebody coming out of high school. They're very uncertain. They're babies anyway at that age. I have a whole new feeling about, like, they're just babies at 18 or 17. Like, they still need a lot of guidance, right? This could be a terrific career going into. So I think we need to be offering our young people all kinds of other options. Again, you pointed out uncertainty. Like, this is something we have to really mentor, I think, our kids about, leading them down different paths that traditionally maybe they never thought of, right? I always think of first responders, like, their families are all, a lot of them, like a lot of firemen I know and stuff like that. It's been like a whole family kind of business type thing. And we got to get it out there and expand, to everybody, including the girls and the young women. So I'm liking that you're now half. You're getting there.
Yes,
You're
we
getting
are.
there.
Exactly.
Now, I have to tell you, recently I saw you with our good friend Monica Morales from Pix 11 News here in New York, and we adore her. We love her. She's a good friend of yours, of ours, and I got some tears in my eyes. And then you started about different things, but this mental health initiative you're doing now, program, education, is so needed, Jillian. I don't have to tell you, because in our country, we have a well-documented youth mental health crisis. We have various warnings being put out frequently that nobody focuses on. We know that kids are suffering. The studies even we have are old. We don't even have current studies. So anything that's said maybe hovering around 40%, for all we know, of children suffering from some sort of depression or, post-traumatic stress disorder, whatever the trauma, could really be at 50%. We really don't know. These stats are always kind of in the dark. It doesn't matter. If it's 1%, it's 1% too much. So I want you to tell us about, whatever you want to tell us about some of your programs, and certainly about this mental health with Child Mind Institute, which we deal with also. Tell us all about it, because it's music to my ears.
Well, you're so right, Lynn. First of all, I mean, yes, I'll tell you about the programs, but there is a mental health crisis. You can't turn on the news without hearing about it. And there are no studies for children of first responders since 9/11.
Wow.
To see what they, so I really would
That's
like to find
shocking.
I'd like to find a partner to do that study, especially based on we have quite a lot of statistics now, as we started this program a couple of years ago. But there was a study, of first responder children in 2019 that showed 35% of children of first responders had anxiety, more anxiety than normal, post, stress disorder, transfer PTSD. They're like, 22% had suicidal thoughts, so these are things. But that was in 2019. Then COVID happened. So I would say those numbers are probably greater now, but nobody can tell you exactly. But I know from meeting the families that we've walked hand in hand with families for 23 years. We've been around for a while, and we know what they need. And we started to see in 2020, oh my God, this is going to be an issue. Obviously, mental health was an issue for the parents. We saw suicide rates and suicide rates in law enforcement and firefighting. We know a lot of people are carrying a lot of stress in those jobs. We may have, 10 traumatic experiences in our life as a civilian. And that's a lot, actually, 10. They have them every, pretty much every month. They have a stressful, traumatic situation, and they go back out into their jobs. So I think that agencies now are getting better at peer-to-peer support, realizing they all need mental health. That's a new thing. There was a long time when first responders never asked for help. They were like, we don't want to hear, we are not dealing with this issue. Now they are starting to see that it's extremely important. And we decided, what can we do as a children's foundation, but take care of their children, bring peace of mind to first responders by taking care of their children's mental health. So we started to work looking at what are the needs. And what we found out is they wanted, obviously, confidential. So totally confidential, free counseling. So we do short-term counseling. We offer short-term counseling, but this was the most important part. And it took us a couple of years to really sort of hone in on this. Culturally competent therapists. They're not just child psychologists or child counselors. They understand the culture of the first responder family and how it functions and what the differences are. Things that might work in a regular family may not work in a first responder family. We know that. So the Child Mind Institute has been great. So that's our partner here in New Jersey and New York, but we have partners in 7 states now. And we provided almost 2,000 hours, and we're looking for more funding to go into more states. And that's what we support with short-term counseling, up to 20 sessions, with culturally competent therapists, virtually or in person. And it's been really amazing to see. We get the feedback through, what the issues are, the age of the child, where they're located, but that's it.
It is so, and I have it here. You answered my next question. I've never heard in all the work we do, like we do a lot with mental health. I personally never heard like culturally like competent therapists. And I thought, wow, of course, like no brainer. Makes complete sense what works for, one child, one family does not work, for instance, for another child and family, and how terrific that is. And also, I fully understand now, you go to I don't know, Jillian, you ever see these signs when you drive into towns for like no stigma town? I just saw one the other day when I was driving into New Jersey, and I'm like, when I came from New York, and it's like, you get off the highway and it's like so-and-so town, no stigma town. And I thought,
I've not seen that. That's
oh,
fantastic.
I've seen like 3 of them now in New Jersey,
Okay.
in different
Wow.
towns, okay? And I thought, that's good. At least we get it out there, because there's always such embarrassment. We do a lot with sex trafficking, labor trafficking here at the Warriors. Again, if people don't understand and can't identify and they're embarrassed or something, like they don't come forward. So we really do have to get in there. Our hashtag is community creates change. Get in there with families, and families today make up all different. Grandmas raising kids these days, aunts and uncles are raising kids, all kinds of units these days. And we really have to explain to them, like, it's okay. We have to be so basic to talk about it and to share. And this whole mental health, again, I'm going to remind everybody, our future adults, our future leaders. I think this is the most frightening thing with everything going on in our overwhelming environment, our country right now. And I don't like things fall to the wayside. This is so urgent and important. Why do you think, if you can see it clearly, I can see it clearly, many others can, don't you think every single, I don't want to ask a question, answer any way you see fit, Jillian, but like so many resources need to be poured in, because that's the number one thing I'm constantly hearing. Don't have the resources, don't have the manpower or woman power to create this change. And to me, it's quite simple. Like, yes, just take money from somewhere else and put it into our future adults and schools for this education. It has to become part of curriculums. So what, at that grassroots level, while we fight for legislation in Albany, my home state, in Washington, D.C. all the time, it has to start in the community kind of thing. What would you say to somebody? Because here's what I get a lot. There's so much going on. I don't even know where to start. So they don't address it with their child. They just let it slide because they can't, or they're busy, going to work, and they're busy paying bills. But we got to get in there. What would you suggest to them?
I agree with you that it has to start grassroots, and it has to start when kids are younger, and it has to be a focus in every community. I mean, we could talk about where we can take money from, but I mean, this is like our children are our future. You
Right.
can build big mansions and office buildings and fly to the moon and do all these things, but uh, what about our children? That they're the people that are going to take over one day, as you said, and they're a huge resource, and they're amazing, and they're brilliant, and we need to help them from the beginning to deal with their own feelings, solve emotional problems. I think people who say there's too much to do, just do one thing. Seriously, just do one thing. Listen to your podcast. Just go volunteer somewhere. Just talk to someone about how they're feeling. See how your neighbor's feeling. How are their kids doing? What can you do? I think that's really a start. It's really easy to get overwhelmed. I get overwhelmed all the time. One step at a time, one thing at a time. So I think I was going to bring Monica Morales into this again, because that she even thought, I want to talk about mental health. There's someone who's making an impact every single day on her community.
Yes.
But decided to focus on mental health. And, we supported that person with a bereavement grant. Her husband died, member of the FDNY. And then, now we're making the mental health program available for her children. And so we try to be there for the child from, if something horrible happens, but also if they're just a child of a first responder and they're stressed and they're worried and they're anxious and they're on social and there's been a shooting somewhere and they're worried, they just start to feel like my parent's going out every day and I don't know if they're coming home. That's just the bottom line of it for children of first responders. They start there. So
Yeah, I mean, they have to know. We know with all of our work with mental health, somebody's there for them. That's like if they know there's like a trusted adult or other kids feeling this way or other family members as a whole, it's very basic. I say basic because kind of like what you know and I know, most people, when I talk to them, they're like, I didn't know that. And I'm not judging them. I'm just saying, like, there is good information. There is first responders, Children's Foundation. Um, and I'm going to admit, I didn't know much about it. And you gloriously came up to me at an event we were both at. And I'm like, who is this? Who is this infectious, bubbly person? I like her. And I want to get to know her. And that's also a really good trait, Jillian, relatable to people. So when I saw, and I'm mentioning her again, Monica Morales, you walking up, and like approaching and then saying, we're here and here you are, and we're going to help and this and that for that segment. This has to be all over the place, like online. We have to share all of this. So we've got mental health. I know you have many other programs. Do you want to touch upon some of them? Because you do a lot with your foundation.
I'd love to, and thank you for that opportunity. It really is. We're there for financial hardship reasons. If the ultimate sacrifice, if something horrible happens, and also our education program. So here's what we do: we give scholarships. Which, by the way, back to your point, not everyone wants to go to the university. They want to go to trade school. So we offer scholarships for trade school, university, graduate school. They all become part of a scholars council, where, as you said, they get to meet the fellow first responder kids around the country. We have peer-to-peer support for them just when they get to meet one another on Zoom, and we have speaker panels and leadership help, and we invite them to events, and we give them opportunities to just be part of the First Responders Children's Foundation family. So there's scholarships, then there's financial hardship grants. So sometimes something happens where, we had an EMT call us from Memphis. Her son got very sick. She couldn't work for 3 months. She was being evicted. She's a single mom. We paid her rent for 3 months.
Wow.
So we do financial hardship grants. They're usually emergency grants that are needed. And then if there's a line of duty death or disability, we offer support that way. And then the mental health program. So those are the programs for the children. And then we have a community engagement part of the mission, which is, how do we help first responder agencies go into their communities and create positive relationships? And that is through our Toy Express, where we bring toys to first responder agencies and they go into their communities and bring a little love over the holiday. And then we have the junior first responder camps, where these kids get to meet the local people who are their first responder community, not the fake heroes on the screen, but the everyday heroes in their communities. And hopefully they'll want to be one of those one day. They'll answer the call. They'll be the ones picking up 911 one day. So we're really focused in that way, either, families and community engagement.
But that is really actually what it's but that's what it's about. Like the community engagement, focus on families, mental health of kids. I think right now that is the wheel with the spokes to make everything more positive and to move forward again with everything going on. And we have to remind everybody on a daily basis about these things. Sometimes I feel a little ridiculous because I feel like I'm hand holding, but we have to almost remind, this is what's going on. Here's what we have to do. Here's the help. Because again, I don't want those people closing that door, because they say to me, Jillian, I can't. I can only think about going to work. I don't know what they're doing on their phone, or I can't focus on telling them, put it down at the dinner table. Cause so we have to be those leaders, and that's a warrior's move. And I know you're doing it. I want to ask you, besides the obvious, because as I started out talking with you, I want everything will be in the body of this video. Okay. The links, where to follow. I am urging everybody, this is the one place to go to make a difference, and it's much needed. What do you need, Jillian, from the public? Because obviously some people cannot contribute money. Money is always the greatest thing. But what else can they do to help you?
Thank you for asking. We're looking for partners. We're looking for providers. If you're a first responder with children, come and check out our programs. They're here for you. And even if it's $5 a month or $1 a month, those things matter. They add up. A session's $120. We pay for it. So 100 people gave $100, $1. We got a session for some child. But I would say, come and get to know us, volunteer, call us. If you're a mental health provider, call us. If you are and if you're a donor, you want to just hear more, or if it's just a small thing, a small amount of money, everything adds up. And we really do love to bring people in because we want to know who you are. We want to invite you to things. We want to get your feedback on what's happening. And we want to explain to you why it's so important to support local first responder families. It's not just the first responder that's sacrificing, that's really helping their community. It's the whole family. The first responder wouldn't be able to do the work without having a family at home that supported them and dealt with them not being there for the birthday or not, coming to the practice or seeing the child at the sports event because they're working. They're protecting all of us. So I think we just have to have a little gratitude and look for an organization like us. We've been around a long time. We're great charity, rating. And we're here to provide what we feel is so important for these families who are serving us.
First of all, you're very shy, Jillian. You are boots on the ground, providing what is necessary, and there is no other program like First Responders Children's Foundation. So I say to everybody, put down that coffee you buy at that drive-in I see across the country when I'm traveling. Take that money and send it to First Responders Children's Foundation, because that's right. Like one coffee, even once a month.
Literally once a month. You'll make a difference. Yes, Lynn, I love it. I think you need to come and work with me because your messaging is so much better.
Well, I don't know. When I went through a drive-through and somebody driving the car ordered a coffee, and I will not say from where, in another state, and it was $10. I said, $10? And I wasn't even getting it because I resent that. Okay. So like $10. Wow. For one day, if you do that 5 days a week, that's several $100s a month. I'm against it in principle. I don't care how much money one has. I'm against it in principle. It needs to go. I also do think, Jillian, we live today in 2024 in this environment, society, where we must all think differently. We all must and can do something. We have to do better at looking out for each other. I know it's a tough thing to do, especially in a city like New York. We have so many vulnerable kids that have nobody looking out for them. We have to be the eyes and ears and really kind of be there as much as we can or appropriately for another child or family. And even if it's just like saying, are you okay? Like checking in with another family. That's a start. That's something that we can all do. What's on tap for you next? Anything you want to share with us? Because I know I saw something like a space program. I don't know. I think I saw golf. You got all these things going on. Anything you want to share that you're working on or can admit to, or you're gearing up maybe now for the holidays, even though we're just in July? What's happening there?
Well, we're just about to give out our scholarships. So we're going to be giving out, don't know the full number, but in the next couple of days, we're going to be giving out our scholarships to the kids that applied. I will say we had 950 applicants. 923 qualified. We only have the funding for half of that. So I always say to people, these kids deserve it. Please join us to help these children of first responders heal, grow, thrive, because their families, their parents take care of all of us. So we're doing that. That's happening.
Exciting.
And I'm very excited. It's a great time of year to do this with our donors and our partners. And then we have National First Responders Day coming up in October. So we are carrying the torch to roll this out to the whole country. So they're going to be doing it in Oklahoma City. We're doing it here in New York City in Times Square. We're honoring a first responder in every category and every profession to stand for their whole profession. And I'm about to do a little bit of traveling, go to Wyoming, meet with first responders there and donors, and Los Angeles to meet with the new LAPD chief and others. Wow. And so I'm very, they helped us. So LAPD, LA County Fire Department, LA Fire Department, they helped us launch our mental health program, actually, because mental health has been very important to those agencies. And we launched with our program, talking to them about what does culturally competent really mean? Like you said, what is that? So they've been big parts of what we're doing. So we're going to be in Los Angeles. So yeah, I have a little bit of travel coming up, and
it's a lot of exciting. A lot of exciting. I will be here being a warrior. And,
absolutely.
Just plugging away. Really, we do a lot behind the scenes, a lot with survivors of trafficking, victims, a lot of legislative work. Those aren't things, you see us put online or advertise. I'm very protective of people I work with,
They're
that are
so
going.
important what you're doing. All the stuff that's so important is what you're
It,
doing. People don't see it all the
Well,
time. They
thank
don't
you.
know what you're doing.
But you know what? That's the kind of stuff I don't want clicks and likes for, to
Yeah,
put pictures. Yeah, we do, but really just pounding away. We've got the 118th Congress in Washington, taking a break for the month of August, and we have a lot of bipartisan legislation to keep kids safe online. That's right at the
great.
top. Just has to be put on the schedule to go to a vote. It's gone through the whole chain, but it's not on the schedule yet. So what happens is you start from the ground floor again for the next session if it doesn't get on the schedule. And we've got so much, again, bipartisan, unheard of support for, Kids Online Safety Act and something called the Earn It Act. And we have to put some guardrails uh, around some of this social media with it. We're not trying to, ban anybody. I hate the word ban. We don't use the word ban. We want to just protect kids. It's, we have bicycle helmets and seat belts and don't take drugs and don't drink, but it's the open world, the internet, and it's not going away. So a lot of work in that area. Um, but I have to say to you before I let you go, the work you are doing and your team at the, First Responders Children's Foundation is, again, I'm going to remind everybody, boots on the ground. And I don't see, and this is my opinion, a lot of talk, a lot of discussion. I don't see a lot of actual boots on the ground making that difference. And you, Jillian Crane, are doing it. And we can't thank you enough. I can't thank you with that busy schedule. You get out there, young lady, you get that money, you get those partnerships, because this is what makes a difference. This is what's going to change and empower, especially our overwhelmed parents, and family members that are trying to deal with
Yeah.
all of this. And those first responders, even themselves, if they're in this circle, it is the most necessary thing in our warriors' opinion. The website, again, first rcf.org. Again, everything will be in the body of the video. I'm urging every warrior listening to this to donate, to find something you can do, to learn more about mental health and what's available to you, or how you can have this program in your community. Jillian's open to I'm speaking for you, Jillian. Jillian's open to all kinds of discussion or suggestions. So don't be shy. We don't like that. And I want to say, Jillian, thank you so much for helping our vulnerable kids and families. I want to say, God bless you. God bless the foundation. And please promise me, I know you're busy, but we'll speak again soon, because I feel like the work is just beginning and people are just recognizing about the mental health on a larger capacity. And we need to have this program in all 50 states. We need, and I know you're in what, 7 states now? Is that
We're in
correct?
7 states. Yes, we're in
Okay. So,
California, Florida, New York, New Jersey, Texas. Um, did I miss something? New York and Hawaii, believe it or not. Yep.
and Hawaii, oh, they
And
need,
Hawaii
that's a separate program.
with
They need
that
a lot of
horrible
help.
thing that, yeah, they had a horrible fight. Yeah, you know
With
what
the
happened.
fires and all that. We
Yes,
have to, I'd like to do updates with you, but we've got to
I
spread
would love
out.
it.
So I hope you're going to Wyoming. I hope you're, that's a beautiful place. Lots of property there spread out. I almost thought one time if I could build, and then I'll let you go, Jillian. I was there one time in a place called Chugwater, Wyoming. And it was nothing. It was like population 200, but like you couldn't,
Wow.
nobody was around. And I'm like, if I win the lottery, I'm going to build the biggest compound ranches out here. And I'm going to bring all the vulnerable kids
Mm.
here so they can just be kids and grow and just become, themselves. But that's another program because you're doing it through First
Lynn, you have
Responders
such a
Children's
great heart.
Foundation,
You have such
and
a great
that's
heart.
what we have to do. So I want to thank you so much. Please let us speak again soon. You just be well, travel safely. And
Thank you very
Jillian
much.
Crane, President and CEO of First Responders Children's Foundation, we will indeed speak again soon. Thanks, Jillian.
Thanks for having us. Thank you.